Welcome to Castrol Activ Champions, this very interesting series where we tell you stories of some of the greats of our game. And our Castrol Activ champion today is an absolute legend. What a player he was. Saw him first sort of late 90s, and by the time he finished in 2007-8, he had made life miserable for every wicketkeeper that was to follow. Before Gilchrist, if you're a very good keeper, most of the times you batted at 7, you average late 20s, early 30s. So occasionally with the tail, you got a few half centuries here and there, you were fine. The finest Australian keeper of all time, Ian Healy, was like that. And then suddenly Gilchrist comes in and he's just changing matches. We saw that here in Mumbai in 2001. What 100 that was, 122 on a turning track. He just slashed, slammed, swept, slog swept, did everything and just ran away with that match. Around that time, he was demolishing attacks. 204 against South Africa in 2002, and he just played the entire innings like that. If you're a stats person, you're just a cricket lover, go back and look at a lot of Australian scorecards around that time and see how often they were 200 for 5 and finish with 400 and 400, 450, because that is what Adam Gilchrist is doing. Literally, Gilchrist was taking the second half of the innings to a completely different level, and you might say, and you'd say that justifiably, that he was protecting the lower half of that Australian lineup, much like Castrol Activ Actibons protect your bike engine, whether it's running or off. There was a feeling that Gilchrist the batsman overshadowed Gilchrist the wicket keeper, and very often when I'd go to Australia, they would say, but Gilchrist, yeah, he's a batsman who keeps. And I'd say, give him to us any day, because there was so much about Gilchrist. And I remember once on one of my earlier tours to Australia, he jumped up to his right to take a catch. Was at the Adelaide Oval actually, and I remember saying that I think he's going to give the Seagulls around there a complex, because he was just taking off vertically, picking up the ball and coming down.
He actually prided himself a lot more on his wicket keeping. He put in a lot of work, and he wanted to be respected as a wicket keeper. So that was really important to him and his credibility. But the other thing about Gilly, which probably some people might not know, he was a fantastic team man as well, and I certainly rated that very highly as well.
Adelaide, of course, was where Adam Gilchrist finished, in the middle of a test match against India. Can you imagine? Just before the test match, in fact the day before, I used to do a program on Star called Harsha Unplugged, and Gilchrist was always the first to say yes if you asked him for a little bit of his time, and we talked about what Test cricket meant, whether his legacy was more as a destructive opening batsman in white ball cricket, and he talked about what Test cricket meant to him. And 3 days later, he'd retired. When I met him after that, he said, gave you a bit of a surprise, didn't I? But that is the culture in Australian cricket. Much as Healy was let go because Gilchrist was ready, I think they realized that maybe Gilchrist, the test match keeper, might have been coming to the end. And there he was. That was so Gilchrist. It didn't really worry about it. So was Gilchrist a red ball phenomenon, or was he a white ball phenomenon? Anybody who averages 47 in test match cricket, largely batting at 7, occasionally 6, has to be among the greats in the red ball game. And yet look what he did as an opening batsman. First with Mark Waugh, later with Matthew Hayden, across the biggest moments in Australian limited overs cricket. There's a phase in Australian white ball cricket. 1999, 2003, 2007, 3 World Cups in a row. They struggled initially in 99, but thereafter they just made it all their own. Each of the 3 finals became, well, one-sided, I say so with a bit of a grimace, because India was involved in one of those. But look what he did on the big day. Each of those 3 World Cup finals had a half century that was scored at better than run a ball. Each time Australia wanted to get the blues away, all the stress away, there was Gilchrist walking up and doing it. In a chase in 99, after they demolished Pakistan early on, and then in 2003, after they batted first, he got them off to a start. You remember that for Ponting, but it was Gilchrist who gave them a start. And then in 2007, he's not scoring runs in the tournament. He's going through a bit of a patch, and then he decides to put that squash ball in. I asked him once about it. I said, what is a squash ball all about? He said, my top-handed grip, the bat was wobbling around in my hand. I wanted something to hold it together. I put a squash ball. I remember people saying that once compressed, the kinetic energy would be released from the potential energy that was stored in the ball. The scientist had a field day. All he was looking for was to ensure that with his top-handed grip, he was holding the bat well. He made 149 in that final, and he just took it away from Sri Lanka. When it came to the big day, at the top of the order, Adam Gilchrist protected that Australian white ball innings, a bit like Castrol Activ's Active Bonds protects your bike engine, whether it's running or off. Towards the end of his career, he came to India, and we were lucky that in the IPL, we saw the last flashes of Adam Gilchrist's brilliance. Now, if you're a Delhi Daredevils fan, you don't even want to hear this, but that 100 in the semi-final at Centurion against Delhi Daredevils, when they were the best team in the tournament all the way up to that point, was for us a reaffirmation of what a player he was. And of course, for Deccan Chargers, it meant something else as he took them to an IPL win. Adam Gilchrist, one of the greats of the game, and we're delighted to feature him in Castrol Activ Champions.